Hello and welcome everyone. Namaste. My name's John King. I'm a licensed hypnotherapist and Reiki master at Karmic, and I invite you today to join me for our group trance on the throat chakra and communication. Now before we start, I'd like to actually have 2 minutes of silence, respectful silence, not just for the passing of the Queen, but also for everyone who's been affected by royalty and impacted by royalty, whether that's a good or a bad thing for all considered. So I invite you to be silent with me now for 2 minutes. Observe yourself and your thoughts, and we'll talk a little bit about that as part of the introduction to communication when we come back to this. So. Okay. Now we'll talk a little bit about what happened just then as you sat in silence for 2 minutes, hopefully. First of all, before we start, a couple of things. Please make sure that a hypnotic trance and Reiki energy sharing is appropriate and right for your current mental and physical state. If you're unsure, if you've had significant mental illness or feel like you're really struggling at the moment, then please make sure that you consult with your licensed medical practitioner before watching this video or listening to the recording. If you're underage, please make sure that you get your parents' or guardians' permission to listen to this recording. As always, the intention of this is to do no harm and to improve our aspects of ourselves for our highest and best will and good. So, the throat chakra and communication, talking, all these lovely, wonderful things. Let me just grab a drink. We all have different ways that we view the world, that we've been shaped by it. And our throat chakra, our voice, our communication, is how, in theory, our higher energies, more spiritual aspects, thoughts, you don't have to be spiritual to have your brain working and try to communicate, but it's where we're voicing into creation the reality we wish to experience. Now, a lot of people will say, speak your truth. That is such an easy thing to say, and it's such a difficult thing to do, especially in our modern world, and well, any world really, where there is so much miscommunication, and on top of everything else, these imperfect, beautiful, amazing vessels that we live in, that we experience life through, have this wonderful brain, and we believe we experience this consciousness, or this conscious life thing. And yeah, it's all lovely, and it's actually not that based in truth. What do I mean by that? So how we retain information, what we believe happens, how we store memories, all these different things in this imperfect, mushy brain that has evolved or been created, or however you view this universe. But let's go with, some form of evolution that may or may not have had other energies in there. But from an evolutionary point of view, there is this selectivity bias towards spreading your genes into the next generation and the following generations. So the way that our brains have evolved, and our culture and our society, it's all about procreation first, and unfortunately truth and reality sometimes goes out the window with that. Sometimes we say certain things, or our ancestors said or did certain things in order to make sure that they got to propagate their seed. So that's all well and good, and yet we are now in this vessel, in our perception of what we believe is reality and the truth as we speak it. And yet a lot of things that we believe to be true, and would even swear black and blue are true, aren't, because we have this lovely creative part of our brain that if it's missing some information, or it's colored by the mood of the day, things we experienced, triggered traumas, all sorts of different things, will simply literally create memories that aren't true, and color them in ways that we believe that we're right and we're true, and all of us do this, and that's okay. So what we experience, a lot of people will say, is actually quite a delusion. So yep, that's all well and good. How can we work with that? How can we still do our best to express ourselves, to speak our truth, and to do our best to create the best possible reality that we would like to experience? Respect. Respect is one of the really big things that is a foundation of speaking truthfully to yourself and to others. And what do I mean by that? So when we can understand the other person's point of view, and understand where we come from, how we behave, some of what patterns we have, etc., then it becomes easier to be respectful of other people, and also to respect ourselves, and then to speak in ways and do our best to communicate in ways that get the message across. So, when we, for anyone who's learned to do situational leadership, or, any sort of communication and leadership training, there's usually a significant focus on, speaking to and communicating in ways that get the message to the other person, and observing, what level are they at? How much guidance do they need? Are they really autonomous, or, are they a newborn baby that needs all our attention? So, there's lots of different ways and different situations that require different types of communication. So when we do our best to communicate openly, ideally truthfully, respectfully, it means that we consider our audience. Who are we talking to? And when we do that, I quite often will say that, if we had the life of the other person, if we had their history, genetics, and upbringing, we would behave exactly the same way. And of course, we're all connected, we're all part of the bigger picture. Our actions influence each other. So if we could all just stop judging each other so harshly a lot of the time and work together, everything will be roses. Now, that's difficult, and we are where we're at, and we are who we are. So we can start with ourselves. The one person that we can affect and change and decide to change is ourselves. If we're trying to force our views onto other people, well, often that leads to all sorts of trauma, strife, all sorts of different things. So, how can we be respectful with ourselves and the person or people we're talking to? When we want to speak our truth, how can we actually work out what is true within ourselves and what isn't? Now, I will be doing a trance in about 10-15 minutes or so bear with me as I ramble, and you can always just go into a deep trance now and let my words wash over you and allow yourself to relax. We'll get to that as we go along. How can we be respectful to ourselves and to the other person? So, in observing the people we're speaking to, it would, for example, be quite appropriate if I was talking to a large, rough audience. And when I say rough, it's whatever level you want to talk about. If the language is very colorful and lots of four-letter words, and I'm quite comfortable in using those in certain situations, then it's appropriate for me, if I was addressing a crowd of that at that level, to start and to interact with a lot of colorful language. Whereas if I was talking to a group of primary school kids, then I should be very prim and proper, and of course loving and gentle, and all sorts of different ways to align and attune how I use my words. We tend to not be too aware of that when we're communicating. So a lot of the time we're speaking with emotions, and many of us only get to talk and express ourselves when we've had enough of certain things, or we don't express ourselves clearly enough, often enough, and often we're just reacting, and our frustrations can get in the way, and we may be speaking what we believe is our truth, and yet sometimes it's not our truth. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. So how we address and what we say, the more we work on actually working out what it is that we need to say and want to say, and then to have the courage to actually say it, so that rather than being the quiet, shy, silent child, we become, confident broadcasters that clearly say what we mean. So if we're loving people, quite often the thought of giving negative feedback to people, or saying things that we don't want to say because we don't want to hurt someone else's feelings, well, we might think we're doing the right thing. However, it can damage our throat chakra. It can manifest in quite significant other physical illnesses, manifestations, however you want to call it. Edward Sarno, in his book The Divided Mind, presents a study of over 10,000 chronic back pain, intractable chronic back pain studies, where he very clearly shows that our subconscious mind can induce what is known as tension meiosis syndrome. So the brain can starve parts of our musculature in our back, or in our elbow, or in other parts of our body, to basically trigger a spasm that mimics a slip disc, or previous known illnesses that basically put us in bed, made us unable to attend or do certain things. So our subconscious can decide that, hey, I don't want to communicate to someone I love that what they're doing I don't like, and I've swallowed it. I believe subconsciously that for my protection, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't want to be the bad person, and my body can then actually trigger back pain, and I can sing songs about back pain, as some of you may know, that then debilitate us. So subconsciously, if we're not working with how we communicate with ourselves and are aware of what our thoughts and mind and emotions are doing, then we can actually display all these different symptoms that can be very debilitating, that may lay us up in bed for a week, and that's simply not something that we do consciously. It's a protective mechanism. So it's a very good idea regularly to check in with yourself on how am I talking to myself, and what am I saying to myself? What am I saying to other people? What am I not saying? What am I not expressing? Now, unfortunately, in our modern world, we do not, and in most of the world, most of the time, I guess, we don't have many thousands. Well, we do have, my apologies. We don't have in the public eye a lot of really good role models. If we look at the politicians, for example, so when we say speak our truth and speak honestly, we're not taught that at the moment at a level that we should be. Hopefully we'll do better as we all evolve. And I challenge all of the politicians out there to please do better, and to please be loving and respectful. However, back to us and ourselves. So if you have throat chakra problems, which can be all sorts of, from sinus problems to tonsillitis, sore throat, sore jaw, all sorts of different things, sore shoulders even, can all be a damaged throat chakra. If you have those issues, then to help heal those, journaling, writing down what's going through your head, what you believe you're saying and what you believe you're not saying. So if there are people that you're not giving feedback to, or that are irritating you, or whatever may be going on, writing it down. And then one of the really big things that I would recommend is to voice, to read out aloud what it is that you've written. Now, a lot of us don't really like doing that, but when you do, if it actually sticks in your throat, you start to become aware sometimes of what we're holding back, or some of the stories we tell ourselves that in fact aren't true. So, there's many things that we might obsess about, or our brains might tick over, and we keep reiterating the same story, and the actual seed of the story, the belief underlying it, may be incorrect. So rather than myself, for example, being upset at my husband and getting angry and angrier with him because he wasn't doing something, after a while, when I did some tapping on the issue and talked it out aloud, I realized that no, in fact, I was jealous of the fact that he could relax and not stress during a period where I was really stressed about finances. And he just knew that it was pointless to stress about that, and so he would relax and I would focus on the wrong thing. So sometimes in speaking out and talking about what it is that we believe is causing our suffering and is preventing us from enjoying the life and manifesting the life that we want to experience, then we may actually realize, oh wow, this is not the right story that I should be telling myself. And when you shift to a more understanding, compassionate framework, the emotions that come with that are more pleasant in our physical form. So in remembering that life is suffering, and that grasping, wanting, needs, wants, desires cause our suffering, you know, all this lovely Buddhist stuff. Speaking our truth, speaking honestly what we want, and reminding ourselves that a lot of things that we believe and say are in fact quite different, you know, and we can go into non-self and you know, nothing exists and all of this is a delusion and many things, and you know, could be here for days of really interesting discussion. However, ultimately we always would like to decrease our suffering, and we would prefer to enjoy positive, ripening, you know, lovely, good karma rather than suffering. And we can take control of that in ourselves. So being honest with ourselves and being realistic. You know, so often we set all sorts of totally unrealistic time frames, and you know, we were taught that right from early on. You know, we'll say one thing and we might mean it there and then, but we haven't had time to go through and look at our schedule. And so often we'll just simply say things in order to appease people who are talking at us, wanting things from us. And we haven't stopped, assessed, and truly decided, is it a yes or is it a no? So when we're more respectful with ourselves and our times and our lives, all of this becomes better. So how can we do that? What can we do? I mentioned writing things down. Observe yourself. So just because we can talk loudly and with authority, that doesn't mean that we're necessarily saying truthful things or that we're right. So it can be daunting and scary to say, oh, look, I'm going to do my best to honor myself and to speak in a loving way, in a respectful way to myself. And when we observe how we speak to ourselves, and when you hear other people talking about themselves, and quite often we're very derogatory and negative, and again, that's how we're taught to relate to ourselves, and you know, our inner child doesn't like it. However, it's simply how we are. So when we're more loving with ourselves and go, okay, well, this is how I am now. I'm going to do my best to do my best. When I notice myself being negative to myself, I'm not going to, you know, yell at myself or tell myself off for that. I'm going to lovingly remind myself, you want to do better. Talk in a positive, loving way to yourself and to other people. Sometimes it is respectfully appropriate to tell people to get stuffed in a very colorful way. It's rare. And again, it's always the intention behind the words that you're using that's most important. So I can lovingly, you know, call someone a four-letter word with love as an affection term. And you know, if the relationship is right, then you know that's reciprocated, loving, great, all good. However, if we are speaking with the intention of being derogatory, of putting ourselves above the other person, and it's something we do so often in life, you know, when we're sitting in the lunchroom bitching about people, while we're doing it, we feel much better about ourselves. You know, our own issues become less while we point at what's wrong with someone else. From a genetic point of view, it's actually good to tear down your possible competitors. So, you know, rubbishing other people in a small community way back when would have been quite a good thing to do if that meant that your genes are more likely to get into the next generation. However, you know, again, in today's society, when we take a moment to observe our own behavior and go, okay, what's making me judge so much so that I feel good enough? Am I feeling, or am I suffering that much? Am I that low that I need to feel superior by, you know, tearing other people down? if we're in that state, again, it's okay to lovingly put your hand on your heart and say, okay, I'm struggling at the moment. This is one of my coping mechanisms. I endeavor to do better. And then we can work on that. And in sitting in silence and working with ourselves, so the 2 minutes that we had at the start of this, and I talk about respect and the other person's point of view, I deliberately did that with respect to the Queen. Now, personally, yes, I loved Queen Elizabeth herself. No, I do not love the monarchy as such, and yet I'm very respectful of many of the different aspects of what they've brought to the world. I'm also very aware of, you know, the hundreds and hundreds of years of interesting rule, and you know, ultimately that's for history, and it's so beyond me. There are a lot of people who are affected in a negative way and others in a positive way. We all have our ways of looking at it, and quite often we will have our own very strict interpretation, and that then can make it difficult to allow another person's point of view to also be correct or acceptable. So regardless of where you sit on the fence, when you're sitting in silence with such a conundrum or a you know, opposing set of views, you might find, dependent on your own inner energies at the time and everything that's happened to that point when you're sitting with it, that you might either be in a nicely positive contemplative mood or, you know, negative. So you may have sat there for 2 minutes and hated the Queen or loved the Queen, or, you know, thought of all of the Indigenous people that have been very badly impacted. So wherever we're at, ultimately we can always come back to center and balance and say, okay, all of that's happened, so that's the past, can't be changed unless you rewrite the history books, of course. However, you know, what's happened in the past has happened. We can grow and strengthen wisdom from it. We can do our best to change what we can, accept what we can't. So with all of that, and I could talk for many, many hours about all of this, what are the key things that you yourself would like to get out of the trance today? As I'm going to be talking us into trance in a minute, I would suggest being more loving with yourself, more encouraging of yourself, and more respectful of everyone, of all life on this world. In doing that and being that, you may find that allowing yourself, first of all, to be an emotional bag of hysterical little peptides and proteins and fats and cells, hormones, you name it, all those lovely little molecular things and energies that swirl throughout that's how we all are. And, you know, we're barely one step above the screaming howler monkeys. So when we say, okay, well, that's where we're coming from. On a good day, we're really good, we're really centered. When I become really irrational, which many people will tell you is more often than you might think, I've learned to love myself even in those moments and to do my best, try more, do more, and, you know, pull myself back together at the end of it all and start again. So being loving with myself, focusing on how I would like to be in the future. So yes, I would like to be able to be more confident, more loving, more easily accepting and forgiving. And I accept that after 10 years at uni studying science and having to be very judgmental, extremely judgmental, that I still just naturally judge things even when I don't want to, and the emotions come, and depending on which emotions come, that encourages certain thought patterns and behavior patterns to come. So as I allow that, as I allow myself more and more to be loving with myself, it's easier to be more loving with other people. And then it's easier to voice into creation a more loving world that I would like to live in, and we would hopefully all like to live in. So in focusing your mind on how you might want to change, or simply to encourage yourself to be ultimately, first and foremost, more loving and honest with yourself, and then with others around you, what might that look like? And it might mean that you actually will sit down and write out, where you're at, and journal some of your thoughts and reread them, and maybe do some tapping on some of the main emotions that you believe you're experiencing. And then you might find that ultimately, hey, maybe some of your thoughts can shift. Or you might find that, yes, you're already doing your best, and therefore it gives you the confidence to more often voice what you want. So especially in our current world, a lot of women, not all women, but a lot of women have restricted throat chakras, and that's simply because of where we are in society. And of course, men as well, but we need to balance and find a better balance for everything. We all are aware of that. So, in honoring yourself, working with yourself, how you view the confident expressing you. Just because you want to express your point of view, sometimes it's not safe to do so. And sometimes it's not right to do so in that moment, even though you really want to. So your only course of action might be to write things down, talk about them in yourself and make peace with them, and decide when you will act appropriately. So in speaking your own truth for yourself, it doesn't mean that you have to challenge everyone and fight every battle, and as soon as something pops into your mouth, you say it. No, in fact, speaking respectfully means that most of the time you don't say it. You feel it, you think about it, you consider the situation, and then you choose the best way of communicating. And when we communicate, it's not always just spoken. And can't say this often enough, and a lot of the communication issues that I observe with people is that we forget that just because we've said something and someone else has looked us in the eye and kind of nodded acknowledgement, unless you've gotten them to repeat back to you word for word what you've just said to them, not just then, but also the next day when they've gone from short-term to medium, long-term memory, to see, okay, did they truly understand what I said? So communication is a two-way street, and it's very frustrating to always ask, did you get that? And especially when you're working with people who are traumatized, which is all of us. The reality is we all are in certain ways. Then often we have to write things down, dot points, follow up, and just do our best. And keep reminding ourselves that while we're trying to communicate, again, it's a limited functionality, and we have to try to find different ways in different times. And sometimes communication is a hug or a loving gesture, and allow yourself just to be a little bit more open to what the universe and other people present in forms of communication. In communication and how we hear and what we absorb and take away from certain situations. Again, so many of us really easily triggered by certain words or actions. Our partners are usually the ones that can most easily push our buttons, or our family. To love that and to observe it, and then to smile at our own touchiness and go, okay, yep, no, it's not as bad as what my body is making me feel it is. Always bring yourself a little bit back, allow a bit more of a delay between your reaction to what the world is saying to you, or you believe the world is saying to you, And again, that can make life easier. So I've rambled enough about that. So let's do a trance, and I'll throw in a few good things in there, hopefully. So I invite you to make yourself comfortable now. Turn down the lights as needed. Lock the doors. Let other people know that you're going to go into a trance. So hopefully this will take about half an hour or so. I invite you now to relax. Let my words wash over you, and if you've never tranced before, just follow my instructions, do your best. If you're not a visual person as I speak, if you can't imagine seeing things that I describe, imagine that you allow your other senses to engage and that you're simply wherever I'm saying with your eyes closed. You may eventually simply reach a state where you're in a shapeless, formless void where you are absolutely safe and secure. Or you might find yourself in the most beautiful, soothing, loving, healing space that is right for you today. Wherever you are now, take a moment to relax, to be present. I invite you now to look up and take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, gently allow your eyes to close if you so wish. If you prefer to have your eyes open, just soften your gaze and invite whatever into you gently, rather than staring at something intently. Just allow information to come in through your senses. As you listen to the different sounds around you, some of them quite pleasant, then I invite you now more and more to allow any sound that is not an emergency to relax you and take you deeper. As you allow each out-breath to gently take you deeper still, then I'd like you now to relax your whole body as much as is appropriate for you today. Start with the muscles in and around your eyes. See and feel them relaxing. Let a gentle heaviness move down your face as you relax your cheeks, your mouth and your jaw, and even the muscles inside your mouth. See and feel that relaxation moving over your forehead, over the top of your head and down the back of your neck. As you relax your shoulders and arms, relaxing your hands and your fingers, relaxing your chest and your stomach, your hips and your legs, relaxing your feet and your toes. And as you continue to relax and drift deeper now, at a pace that's just right for you, then in a moment as I count from 10 to 1, I invite you to imagine that you might be moving down a set of stairs or a gentle slope. At the bottom of the set of stairs is a comfortable bed with a pillow that's just perfect for you. And when I get to the number 1, you'll drift onto that bed, rest your head on the pillow, and drift off into a beautiful daydream where you'll find yourself in your ideal healing space for today. Now you'll only go into trance as deep as is appropriate for you today and is right for you today. And as with anything, the more you practice, the better you get at it. So allow yourself to do your best, and every step of the way, wear a gentle inner smile and lovingly encourage yourself to relax and drift deeper. As I count from 10 to 9, relaxing and letting go. 8, nobody wanting anything and nobody needing anything from you at the moment. This is your relaxation and trance. 7, as you gently drift deeper down. 6, and 5, more and more relaxed as all stress, tension and negative energy leaves you at your pace. 4, as any sound that's not an emergency gently takes you deeper now. 3, And 2, almost at the bottom of the stairs. As 1, you drift onto that bed, rest your head on the pillow, and drift off into a most beautiful daydream where you find yourself in your ideal healing space for today. And maybe that might be somewhere in a beautiful rainforest, or in a forest clearing, or perhaps you're someone who loves to be by the beach. You might be in a crystal cave or a beautiful temple, Machu Picchu, anywhere in this amazing multiverse where you wish to go today. And wherever you might find yourself, if your mind is still active, allow that. Don't berate yourself, encourage yourself, and more at your own pace. You might find that more and more easily your conscious mind might just gently come back to the sound of my voice, realize I'm talking, and then allow itself to go back into the most beautiful, soothing, healing sights, sounds, and sensations, while your subconscious mind hears every word that I speak, even if your conscious mind simply drifts in and out. So wherever you might be at this point in time, for me, usually I'll go into a lovely little forest clearing with nature all around and a beautiful crystal clear spring of water gently burbling past, and lovely smooth stones covered by moss. And wherever you are, I wonder, what surface would you be sitting or lying on? Would it be rock or sand or lovely grass, a blanket? Imagine what that texture would feel like and look like. And as you do, allow your subconscious mind to make that more real within you. As you allow yourself to be absolutely safe and secure, calm and at peace in this space. For here nothing can harm you. Here more and more now your body can relax and drift into absolute comfort. And as you do, as you drift deep, perhaps you might feel a gentle breeze on your cheeks, or you might hear the sounds of birds or nature nearby. And as you do, I'd like you for a moment, wherever you are in your mind and in your energy, to bring your attention to just your right toe, or whatever other appendage is right for you today. As you allow yourself just to be aware of your right toe, drift nearer with your consciousness, and allow yourself to feel into your right foot or appendage. And as you do, as you feel what you can feel, just simply notice the sensation. Is your foot on the ground or on a bed or a cushion? Feel gravity interacting with your bones and body and the surface where you're touching, maybe your sock or sheet. And as you simply allow yourself to feel into that sensation, allow that to be. And then move your attention up to your left ear. Just hover outside of your left ear for a moment. If you have headphones in, then just notice that. Maybe you can feel your scalp and your hair, and then you bring your attention to the middle of your back. And again, notice, what are you resting against? If you're sitting in a recliner, notice how easily the recliner can support your weight, and you allow it. And in allowing it more and more, you might start to feel as if you're drifting on a cloud. Allow gentle heaviness to spread through your body now, and as you do, I'd like you to bring your attention now to your throat. As I do that, I wonder, what's happening? Is there a little bit of tightness or tension in your throat, or is your throat chakra very relaxed? Simply allow yourself to swallow and let your subconscious mind relax this area. Now, as usual, throughout this process, I'm about to connect my energy and your energy with your permission and your guardians and guides' permission to the universal healing energy or Reiki energy. And if that's not for you today, that's perfectly okay. You may or may not feel anything. If you do, allow it. And if you don't want to, simply in your mind say, no, not for me today, and it simply will not flow. But for those of you who would like to, allow yourself to relax and invite in this energy now. And you might become aware of it as if a most beautiful and gentle, soothing, healing light, like a beautiful shaft of gentle sunlight, was touching your forehead. And you might allow and see and feel this just gentle, loving, healing, forgiving energy entering through the crown of your head. Allow to gently massage all of the cells in your skull as it penetrates your skull, to gently relax your brain and all those beautiful little brain cells. As all of the things do the things they do, so that you can experience this conscious fantasy, reality, whatever it might be. Gently and lovingly smile at it. Feel the sensation of the smile spread through your whole body, and allow yourself for a moment to lovingly wave at all of the little cells just doing their thing, allowing you to be you. And each and every one of those little cells loves you more than anyone else in this multiverse, for they are your cells. They are a part of you. All those microbes, part of your microbiome, all working in symbiotic harmony. So the more we allow our brain and our cells to get out of the way, then our body's natural healing energies can reassert themselves. And the more deeply we relax, the more we can heal and get comfortable and stop judging things, and more accept what we can, and just let a feeling of comfort spread through us. And as we do, allow that loving, healing, soothing, accepting energy now just to rest on your throat for a while. And I wonder, what do you experience as that's happening? You might feel your throat loosen. You might feel it constrict. Sometimes the thought of knowing or becoming aware of some of the things we're holding back, that we're not saying, can be overwhelming. So I invite you now simply to let go of as much as you can. While we're here at our throat and our shoulders, allow your attention to just expand out a little bit, and as this loving, healing, soothing energy spreads across our shoulders, just let go and unshoulder any burdens you may have been carrying. Simply allow yourself to feel lighter, to relax a bit. Take a few gentle yet comfortable in-breaths and out-breaths, and as you do, just allow your breathing to become easier and more relaxed. And continue to let go of any burdens you're carrying. And if that's too difficult in your healing space, you might mentally send out the intention for a request for help. And help may present in whatever form. Whether it's just gentle, loving energy, lightening the load you're carrying, or maybe someone or something will come and just lift those burdens off you for a while, just to give you a chance to deeply rest and relax. And that's all you need to do as you are here, as you drift deeper. Allow this loving, healing energy to continue to rest on your throat and shoulders for a while and to spread through your chest. Perhaps you might see a blue color associated with your throat chakra. That's the usual color, but whatever is right for you at the moment. If you observe any blockages, maybe you might gain some insights into them, or you might simply feel them start to dissolve. And more and more you simply drift deeper. And in a moment, as I count again from 10 to 1, let yourself sink deeper into relaxation. Lovingly and gently whisper to yourself, just relax. Go deeper. Allow yourself to accept yourself as you are in this moment of now, and to grow in strength and wisdom from all of your past experiences, both good and bad. So as I count again from 10 to 1, drift deep, become more relaxed, and enjoy as I count from 10 to 9, going twice as deep, 8, becoming twice as relaxed, 7, the beautiful, soothing, healing energies becoming twice as real around you, 6, twice as deep again. Your subconscious mind hearing every word that I speak, even if your conscious mind drifts in and out, 5, twice as deep again. And 4, more and more relaxed. Now allowing any negative energies to continue to leave your body, 3, so you go twice as deep again. Let them ground and leave you through the base of your spine or your feet, or even the pores of your skin, 2, twice as deep again. As 1, you simply rest you for a while, and you allow this loving, healing energy now to radiate more strongly into your chest and into your heart. As you allow your heart to relax and feel as if all of the love of the universe is gently wrapping you up in a loving, healing cocoon, reassuring you that everything will be okay. Everything is as it's meant to be, whatever that might mean. And for a while, you can simply rest and relax. With each in-breath, draw in healing, loving, recharging energy. As with each out-breath, you continue to let go of any discomfort. Any negative energy continues to leave. Let this loving, soothing energy now move through your abdomen. Any tension, any tightness now softening and easing. Any knots in your stomach now relaxing and unwinding. More and more, you relax and you heal. As this loving, soothing, healing energy moves all the way to the base of your spine and your root chakra, allow yourself to ground into this moment of now, to be as you are, and relax and go deeper. Any discomfort in your body that you might experience in this state, allow yourself to send soothing, comforting energy to that discomfort wherever it may be. Maybe pick a color that is right for you and then simply allow that comfort to spread as you more deeply relax. And in this state, now I'll give you some loving suggestions that are for your highest and best will and good. And you will only take into yourself those suggestions that you genuinely feel and believe are for your highest and best will and good. You will be more loving with yourself. You will love and encourage yourself every step of the way. You remind yourself that you support yourself, love and accept yourself. You'll be more honest with yourself And you will do your best to speak your truth as appropriate. You find your inner confidence growing as you love and support yourself. And in doing that, more and more, you feel stronger and more confident. As you speak your own truth, you allow yourself to love yourself and to encourage yourself and to strengthen those positive, beneficial habits that you need and desire for your highest and best will and good, and for your best inner and outer health. You will love and encourage yourself. You support yourself. And in doing that, you find it easier to love and accept other people as they are, to understand their point of view, and to do your best to work with them and to communicate with them. More and more, you relax and you allow yourself to gently encourage yourself and move towards your brightest and best possible future, which is always in front of you, with the past behind you. So rest here for a moment and allow yourself to see and to feel what that confident, self-loving, truth-speaking you of the future is like. As you feel that you, with a more relaxed throat, gently, easily saying those beneficial things to yourself and to others that are appropriate, and you feel that more confident you, and you allow yourself to encourage that and to be honest and loving with yourself. And as that happens, every single part of you, from the higher spiritual to the purely physical, and every layer in between, aligns with your brightest and best possible future. And as that happens, now you integrate and become whole. You let go of any resistance within yourself, more and more, allowing yourself to observe yourself and then to speak your truth and to learn and to experience as part of this life. And then every day and every way you grow stronger, happy and healthy, calm and relaxed. And you more easily speak your truth respectfully for yourself and your audience. And as you become that you, allow yourself now in your healing space to rest and recharge. You will become that you in a way and at a pace that is right for you, and in loving and encouraging yourself every step of the way. You find it easier to communicate in appropriate ways, in respectful ways. As you allow yourself to rest in this space for one last glorious moment of infinity, which lasts exactly as long as you need it to, in order for those beneficial suggestions to become a permanent part of your subconscious mind, and for you to allow yourself to replenish and restore your deepest energy reserves. Here, for a while now, allow yourself to absorb that energy that you need. Perhaps you might find a beautiful stream of crystal clear energized water, or a chalice filled with glowing liquid that you know will replenish you, or perhaps pulsing different colors that fill the different colors that you need might become evident. or however you replenish your reserves, you allow that to happen now. As you feel that energy entering your system, and as you give yourself permission to continue to enjoy a deep cellular rest and restore, your immune system working more effectively in this state, and allowing yourself to drift deeper, to relax, to let go of any blockages, to grow in strength and wisdom from your past. And as you do, you feel stronger, more vibrant, your aura becoming stronger and healthier, all of your chakras within you aligning with that best possible you of the future. And again, as they balance, this happens at a pace that is right for you today. Now, in a moment, as I gently bring you back, allow yourself to bring a comfortable, soothing, restored feeling back with you, giving yourself permission to be honest and loving with yourself and others, so that every day and every way you grow stronger, happier and healthier, calm and relaxed. As I count from 1, this deeply relaxed state which is always within you, to 2, gently starting to return, bringing a feeling of wellness, confidence and calm back with you. 3, as you slowly start to come closer, maybe just starting to wriggle your fingers and toes. 4, closer still. Maybe stretching some of your larger muscle groups now. And 5, allowing your eyes to open when you're ready. Take your time for this, there's no rush. You might still hear me burbling away in the background for a bit. However, now as you return, I thank you for your attention. As always, I thank everyone who subscribes, especially the paying subscribers. I greatly appreciate all that you do. And for those of you who I've talked to who haven't been able to pay, that's perfectly okay. Your feedback and input has been invaluable. And obviously, we all do what we can when we can. And it is my pleasure and service to do what I can for the wider community. So, if you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't, please, bright lights, please send me any feedback. I always greatly appreciate it. Next week, 2 cards jumped out at me, so we're going to be talking, or I'm going to be talking about determination and the solar plexus chakra and grounding and the root chakra. Somehow I will work all of that into something or other, and we'll see how we go. Thank you again for your attention. Sharing is caring. I'm sure I have many other things to say, but I won't. I hope you have a most wonderful, whatever time of day it is, rest of day, wherever you are, and many blessings and much love to you and yours. Namaste.